Am I the antagonist for lying about when dinner is ready? I, 23 years old male, have been living with my girlfriend, 29 years old female, for a little over a year. She works from home as a software developer and makes more than enough money to comfortably cover all our expenses, so I do the homemaking, which includes cooking dinner every night. Lately, she's been especially busy at work and staying in her home office later and later. Even after leaving, she'll often have to answer messages from work. Needless to say, she has been exhausted and hasn't had the energy to go out or do fun things together. I try to at least give her a delicious hot dinner that we can always find time to eat together. But when I call her over because dinner is ready, it'll often take her 5-10 minutes to actually come. Sometimes she's responding to a work email, sometimes she's playing video games and wants to finish what she's doing, sometimes she's just decompressing on the couch and takes a long time to get up. I'm sympathetic to her situation, but it really bothers me when I work hard on dinner and she doesn't even eat the food when it's hot and at its best. It's even more frustrating when she complains that the food is cold or mushy, because if she had just come when I called her, it would be much better. A few weeks ago, I decided to try calling her for dinner 5 minutes before the food is actually ready, and most of the time this worked, and she showed up when the food was still fresh. But last night, she actually did show up immediately after I called her, while the pasta was still boiling. She asked why I called her when the food wasn't finished yet, and I explained that I didn't think she'd actually come until a few minutes later. Initially, she seemed fine with it and was just a little annoyed that she had to wait longer for dinner. But as we were eating, she asked how long I had been lying to her about dinner being ready. I answered her straightforwardly because I didn't think it was a problem, but she just got more and more upset that I had apparently been manipulating her for weeks, and that I didn't understand why lying to her is a big deal. She ended up not finishing dinner and slept in her office. I guess that what I did is technically lying, but it's just a little white lie that ultimately benefits her. Even when she had to wait for pasta, she didn't go without dinner for any longer than she usually would. But she got so angry last night that I keep wondering if I actually did something really bad. I can't keep bouncing it around in my head anymore, so I'm seeking a reality check from an impartial perspective. Am I the asshole? Well, buddy, you've definitely found yourself in quite the pickle here. As much as your attempt to ensure your girlfriend enjoys a freshly cooked dinner is commendable, it seems like your timing strategy may have backfired. While your intentions were good, the execution of calling her for dinner before it's actually ready could definitely be seen as a bit sneaky. Sure, it might have worked for a while, but your girlfriend feeling manipulated and deceived is a valid reaction. Communication is key in any relationship, and transparency, even when attempting to do something thoughtful, is crucial. It's a slippery slope when it comes to playing tricks, even with the best intentions. In the grand scheme of things, this might not be a relationship-ending offense, but it's essential to understand where your girlfriend is coming from and address her feelings about being misled. Perhaps consider finding other ways to navigate the situation that don't involve white lies or secret dinner calls. So, while your heart was in the right place, it's definitely a good learning opportunity to reflect on how your actions may have been perceived and have an open conversation with your girlfriend to mend any hurt feelings. Remember, honesty is the best policy, even when it comes to pasta timing tricks. Am I the antagonist for saying no to my stepbrother coming to my birthday party? My parents are divorced and I, 15-year-old male, have a stepbrother, 13-year-old male, and 2 stepsisters, 10-year-old female and 9-year-old female. Last year I chose to stay mostly with my dad, and I see my mom every other weekend versus the every other week schedule we had before. I prefer living with my dad. My relationship with my mom isn't close, and I don't like her husband or his son. So it was a no-brainer who I'd be with more once I was old enough to decide. My mom blames my dad. She blames him for everything wrong in our relationship, and the relationship with her husband and stepson. Her blaming my dad for everything is kinda why our relationship ended up this way. When I was younger and they were still married, she chose to stay away from school plays and events if my dad was taking time off work to be there because she didn't want to be there with him due to their troubled marriage. When I asked her to come, she'd tell me it was a choice between her and my dad. My parents fought about that too, and my dad called her childish and told her to put me first. It was easier when they divorced because they fought way less. My mom isn't that warm either. She's fine, but not really the kind of parent you could see comfort from. She has a short temper, and she dated a lot after she and my dad filed for divorce, introducing me to numerous guys and trying to make me like them more than my dad. When she got married to her husband, she made a big deal out of me needing to spend time with his kids and put the expectation on me to give her time with her husband. Her stepson wanted to come with me to my dad's, trying hard to be my brother and becoming annoying. Then my mom would pressure me, saying I should include him more. Her husband would get mad at me, saying I should stay with them more since his son wanted a brother, and told me his son could come with me to my dad's some weekends if I insisted on seeing my dad. It was tough when my dad would take me on vacations, and my stepbrother would beg to go with us, and I would refuse. My mom would tell me to ask my dad, and I'd decline. She'd tell me I was a brother whether I wanted to be or not, and that I should include my sibling who wanted to go. I suggested she should pay for a vacation for all of us, but I wasn't allowing her stepson to intrude when I was with my dad. My birthdays were always a mess too because I got 2, and my dad always did something fun with me and my friends. This year is no exception, and he's taking us somewhere really amazing. But it's a place my stepbrother has wanted to go to for years or something, and when my dad informed my mom about it, he has to when he takes me out of state, just like she has to do the same. She told her stepson, and he wants to come. I don't want him there. My mom told me not to be unkind and that they can't afford to take the family there. I told her it wasn't my concern. Her stepson found me at school and pleaded with me to let him come. I told him no. My mom and her husband told me I was being unkind to him. So, am I the asshole? Am I the antagonist? In this complex family dynamic you find yourself in, it's clear that there are a lot of emotions and expectations at play. It seems like your mom and her husband are trying to blend the family together, but it's resulting in feelings of pressure and discomfort on your end. While it's important to consider others' feelings, it's also crucial to prioritize your own well-being and boundaries. It's understandable that you may not feel a close connection to your stepbrother and that you want to maintain the special time you have with your dad. Your reluctance to include him in your plans doesn't make you unkind, but rather signifies the need for clear communication and understanding among all parties involved. Perhaps a calm and honest conversation with your mom and stepfather about your feelings and the importance of respecting your choices could help alleviate some of the tension. Remember, it's okay to prioritize your own happiness and maintain the relationships that bring you comfort and joy without feeling guilty. In this situation, not the antagonist, not the asshole. Am I the antagonist for crying in public? I, female 14, was shopping with my mom and younger brother in Target. We were going down the toy section because my brother really wanted to. Look! While my brother was checking out some Legos, I saw a Hello Kitty stuffed animal. It was adorable. I had a big net hanging up in my room for stuffed animals because I loved collecting them. I've always wanted a Hello Kitty one. Without looking at the price, I asked my mom. She responded, "How much?" I saw, and it was $40. Telling my mom this, she immediately declines. I don't argue because $40 for a big stuffed animal is a lot. My younger brother, male 12, grabbed a giant Harry Potter Lego set and asked my mom. I looked at the price and it was $80. My mom said she didn't care and he threw it in the cart. I was a little upset, but didn't say anything. I did really want a stuffed animal though, so I looked around for a cheaper one. In the Mario section, I found a really cute Kirby. I checked the price this time and it was $20. It was not huge, but it wasn't too small. I brought it up to my mom and she said, "It's not worth it. Why do you even want stuffed animals? Grow up." I was a little taken back, but I put Kirby back. I am a very emotional person, so I couldn't help but tearing up in Target. I was not sobbing. I was just upset, and looking back, I probably should have just dealt with it and kept my emotions under control. My mom noticed this and started quietly yelling at me, saying things like, "Why are you crying? Stop crying. Act mature." And I was forced to suck it up. My face was red and my nose was clogged up, causing me to sniffle. When I did, my mom always glared at me and kept repeating, "Why are you crying over it?" It really hurt my feelings because I felt like she was making fun of me. When we got in the car, she screamed in my face, calling me an asshole for crying and embarrassing her in public. I felt like she was being dramatic. There wasn't anyone in Target, which was surprising. She acts like there was a crowd who saw me and it would ruin whatever reputation she has. Now I am home helping my brother put together this set because he asked me to. I cried in the bathroom for a little bit, but now I am fine, but her words still sting. Am I the asshole for crying in public? Should I have just sucked it up? Well, I must say your mom's reaction was a bit over the top. Crying over a stuffed animal in Target might be a tad dramatic, but hey, we've all had those moments of weakness in the toy aisle. It's understandable that you felt hurt by her comments. It's important to remember that it's okay to have emotions and to express them. You're just a teenager navigating the complexities of growing up and dealing with parental expectations. In the future, maybe try to keep your emotions in check a bit more, but don't beat yourself up too much about it. And hey, maybe you can save up some allowance money and treat yourself to that Hello Kitty plushie one day. Remember, it's never too late to add to your stuffed animal collection. Am I the antagonist for not watching my sibling after warning my parents that I wouldn't do that because babysitting isn't my job? Apologies if I get anything wrong or this sounds confusing. I'm recovering from a bad hangover as I write this. I, 19-year-old female, have a little brother, 10-year-old male, with mild autism. He's old enough to be able to take some responsibility for himself and not have to be constantly hovered over. I have made it clear to my parents that I am not interested in constantly watching him, and have asked them to find a friend or someone to help out every so often, so I can live my own life. They brushed me off, unfortunately. Something I should also mention is that I smoke marijuana. It's legal in my state and my parents don't seem to be too against it. I am an adult after all. I keep some hidden in my nightstand and some hidden in my purse. My brother doesn't usually snoop around my room, so I'm not that inclined to go to ridiculous lengths to keep it hidden. I don't want to go to insane lengths looking for it when I want to get high. Well, unfortunately, my brother decided to go snooping through my purse while I was in the shower and found one of my edibles. I was still in the shower by the time my parents got home and saw that he was obviously high and crying. My dad went into my bathroom, practically ripped off the shower curtain, and demanded an explanation as to why my brother was obviously baked. I told him that I was in the shower and unaware of how he even got into my stash. He started crying, saying he just went into my purse to get my phone because he wanted to say hi to our mom. He's not allowed to have a phone or tablet. And that he saw chocolates and couldn't help himself. These chocolates were kept in a bag saying do not eat, by the way. But the wrappers did kinda look like candy. Thankfully, my brother was rightfully punished for snooping through my belongings. However, this did not stop my parents from being angry at me too. They were livid that I had edibles in my purse and that I wasn't watching him well enough. He's 10, almost 11, and does not need to be hovered over. He understands do not touch means don't touch my belongings. He should not have to be told to not eat chocolates he finds in someone else's purse. This didn't satisfy my parents enough, unfortunately, and I was told to leave. I am currently staying at my dealer's house, where I usually get some other substances that I take outside of my parents' house. I'm not stupid enough to carry non-legal drugs on me or keep them in my house. I'm hoping my parents will let me come back soon, either to stay or so I can get my things and move out. Am I the asshole? First of all, I hope your recovery from the hangover is going smoothly. It sounds like quite the ordeal you're going through. Navigating family dynamics can be tricky, especially when trying to balance personal freedom with responsibilities, like looking out for your younger brother. It's a tough situation to be in, dealing with your parents' expectations and your desire for independence. While it's understandable that you want to have your own space and freedom, it's also important to recognize the impact your actions can have, especially when it comes to substances like marijuana. It's great that you're being responsible about legalities and safety, but accidents can happen, as evidenced by your brother finding the edible. Your parents' reaction may seem harsh, but they likely just want what's best for both you and your brother. It might be worth having a calm and open conversation with them to address the situation and find a way to move forward. Leaving home can be a drastic step, so it's important to consider all options before making a decision. It's clear that you care about your family, even with the disagreements. Ultimately, the important thing is to communicate openly, learn from this experience, and hopefully find a resolution that works for everyone involved. Am I the antagonist for kicking my siblings out of my baby shower? I, 29 years old female, have 5 siblings. An older sister, 30 years old female, a younger brother, 26 years old male, another younger brother, 25 years old male, and 2 younger sisters who are twins, 22 years old females. Our parents were not attentive or involved parents. They were neglectful at the best of times but could also be incredibly harsh on all of us. They had very high expectations despite not actually parenting of us. It was like we were ignored or neglected until they wanted good grades, and then we'd get yelled at for having less than perfect grades. Or if the school called to say we were being bullied, we would be asked what kind of reputations we had built at school to deserve being bullied, Mom, or what kind of pussies we were to become targets of bullying. It was hell, and parenting responsibilities were thrown onto me and my older sister. But my older sister resented our younger siblings. She loved and was close to me, but she never liked our younger siblings and did not help them growing up. At times she could be as bad as our parents when it came to snapping at them for being kids. She was a kid herself. I was the one who became the parent of the household. It was a messed up situation and I became a house mom before I was even 10. But that was just how life needed to be for us to survive. I gave up a lot for my younger siblings. I didn't go to college. I stayed in the toxic household until I was able to afford to move the remaining kids out, the twins, and in with me. I helped them figure out how to attend college or get into apprenticeships they were interested in. I was probably more of a mom than I should have been, but they had nobody else to do it, and I love all of my siblings. I did put the work in so we could remain siblings too, but I failed at that. They act like I am their mom, older sister excluded. I'm happily married now and expecting my first baby, and we had an incident at my baby shower that I have mixed feelings about my reaction to. So my siblings were all there, my husband, his family, and our friends. And at some point, my younger siblings took issue with the emphasis being on me becoming a mom and how happy I looked to be pregnant. They got incredibly jealous and started to act like children, and they yelled out that I had been a mom for most of my life, and people needed to stop acting like the baby was the most important person to me. I stepped in and spoke to them, but someone else said that I wasn't a mom before now. Then my older sister got involved, and then a fight broke out between my siblings, and my older sister told them that they had ruined our lives and we would have been better off with just the 2 of us. I told her that wasn't fair to say, it wasn't their fault. But the fighting wouldn't stop, and I asked all my siblings to leave. They were so hurt, and the whole shower stayed tense even though they left, and some of my husband's family could not believe I kicked them out. My siblings admitted it hurt, and they were kinda mad at me too. Am I the asshole? First of all, I just want to say that you are not the asshole in this situation. It sounds like you have been through a lot and sacrificed a great deal to take care of your younger siblings. Kicking them out of your baby shower may have seemed harsh, but it sounds like tensions were running high and emotions were raw. It's understandable that your siblings may have felt overshadowed by the attention on your pregnancy, but their outburst was inappropriate and disrespectful. It's important to set boundaries and stand up for yourself when necessary, even if it may upset others. Your siblings should respect the fact that you have your own life and are starting your own family now. It sounds like you have been a rock for your siblings and done your best to care for them despite the circumstances you all faced growing up. It's okay to prioritize your own happiness and well-being now that you are starting your own family. It's important for your siblings to understand and respect that. In conclusion, you are not the asshole in this situation. Keep prioritizing yourself and your growing family, and continue to set boundaries with your siblings in a respectful and understanding manner. Am I the antagonist for making my classmate fail a college project and forcing them to repeat a year? So I had a group project at university which accounted for 90% of the grade, meaning that if you failed it, you failed the course. This group consisted of 3 people including me. I did all of the coding, which is fine because I like coding and don't mind doing the extra work. The other team member contributed more in terms of writing the report, and I also helped with it. However, there was this girl who did not contribute anything at all. She only attended half the meetings and never contributed with any ideas. Even when told by us to speak up, she did not say much. As an introverted person, I understand this, so I didn't judge her much. However, when it came to doing the agreed-upon tasks, she almost always failed to deliver. She neither worked on the code nor the report. The rest of the team members communicated this to her many times to see if there was an improvement, but there wasn't. When it came to the peer reviews at the end of the project, I felt like I shouldn't be failing her, as that would be an asshole move. The project the rest of us delivered was exceptional, so there was no need to make her pay. So I rated her averagely and just gave some encouraging feedback. When the teacher read everyone else's feedback though, he realized that there were issues with the girl's contribution. So he asked us to meet with him and tell our exact contribution. During the meeting, the girl claimed she worked on the code and that most of it was done by her. At this point, I became quite angry and exposed her in front of the professor. The other guy also backed me up. The professor said he'll reassess the situation and decide our individual grades. To nobody's surprise, the girl got a 0 and failed the course. After this, she sent me messages saying I was a total asshole and what I did was completely unfair. Apparently, she now has to repeat another year and cannot afford the fees. I felt bad for her and said if she let me know this before the meeting, I would have allowed her to claim some of my work, but she didn't. She still called me a dick, a loser, and other obscenities though, and I just muted her chat. Am I the asshole for making her fail and putting her in additional debt? Well, look, it seems like a sticky situation you found yourself in. On one hand, it's admirable that you took the initiative to carry the weight of the project and tried to be understanding of the girl's lack of contribution. But on the other hand, her claiming credit for work she didn't do and potentially jeopardizing your grades is not cool. In the end, it's the teacher's decision that led to her failing the course, not specifically your actions. You tried to handle the situation with some level of fairness by not outright failing her in the peer review, but when confronted with her false claims, you had to set the record straight. It's unfortunate that she's now facing consequences, but it seems like they stem more from her actions and choices rather than solely from yours. Maybe next time, better communication and collaboration within the group could prevent such misunderstandings. And hey, at least you've learned a valuable lesson about group work dynamics, right? Just take it as a learning experience and move forward. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.